Oh, they ain't saying nothing. The scriptures speak for themselves. Yeah.
We the salt of the earth. We do it, they won't do it like us. We add flavor to whatever we touch. Keeping faith in the Messiah is a must.
Hebrews make the world go round.
Salt of the earth, shine like the sun. Rep where I'm from, Jerusalem. Prodigal sons will be returning soon. 12 tribes waking up, what you ain't heard the news? Knowledge yourself will make you meet your ops and call a truce. All this oppression we facing, why be at odds with you? Shake your hand like a man, I got beef is through. Only if our people knew this truth will make your enemies be at peace with you. Can't no other nation lead the Jews, so can't no politician tell us how to move. The president ain't keeping no laws, what you trying to prove? Never judge by appearance, you'll know them by their fruits. Galatians 5:22, I got my proof. I never seen no oranges growing apple trees. Miss me with that cap, I let your actions speak. Work out with these scriptures like an athlete. I'm careful to be gentle with the scattered sheep. I don't strive, I come in meekness and I'm apt to teach. I got that from 2 Timothy. Chapter 2, you do commandments, then you kin to me. What?
Oh, they ain't saying nothing.
They ain't saying nothing.
The scriptures speak for themselves. Yeah.
Precepts, we the salt of the earth. We do it, they won't do it like us. We add flavor to whatever we touch. Keeping faith in the Messiah is a must.
Hebrews make the world go round.
All right. Voice of the Sound. Now, last week we talked about, anybody want to recap what we talked about last week? Manufactured. If you wasn't here for the lesson, we have it on our YouTube page. You know, go check it out. All our lessons we done did so far, we have on our YouTube page. We came from manufacture. And it was the reason why we came from that topic in that lesson, because, as I said in the beginning of that lesson, in order, when we get ready to leave this nation, we are not leaving this nation as a scattered people. We are leaving this nation as a nation. We are leaving this nation as a tribe. Just like in Egypt. When Israel went into Egypt, they were not a nation. They were just a family. Right. Remember, when Jacob went into Egypt, they went in there because of what? Famine. Mm-hmm. Right? But the Most High set it up that way because he put Joseph in line so that he knew the famine would come, and I'm going to bring Israel in here, and within Egypt, I'm going to build them as a nation. So they came in as a family, but they left out as a tribe and as a nation. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's the same thing we're doing today. So, last week we talked about building the family structure. Because you cannot have a nation, you cannot have a tribe without a strong family. And the reason why the title was Manufactured, because it's going to start with us men. It's going to start with the ox, making sure our household in order. Who are we helping? We helping our family, and we helping those that don't have a husband in the home. Because we have to make sure we're taking care of the widows, those that are single, children, everyone. But it's going to start with us, man, making sure we in our right position. Because once we are in our right position, everything else falls in line. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. You got to understand, lesbianism will not be at an all-time high if homosexuality wasn't. Right. It starts with the man. Right. If the man don't okay it, women are going to do it. Right. But whatever this generation does in secret, the next generation going to do in access. Whatever you do in secret as parents, your kids will do in access when they get older. Right. So we have to make sure that we are in the right line. Shabbat shalom. We have to make sure that we have our standards right. We have to make sure that we have everything aligned right. See, in secret, around the 70s, I would say, that's when drugs started to enter into the side. You know, you had Rick James, right? Mary Jane, right? Mary Jane. Y'all know it, come on. Yeah. Right? Next thing you know, 80s and 90s, we just started to populate. Crack started to hit. Because whatever the previous generation do in secret, the next generation is going to do in access. So how do we get to a part where our boys are effeminate, our little girls want to be masculine? because of what we were doing in secret the generation prior.
Right.
All that stuff was going on within the church and nobody ever said nothing. You had the pastor sleeping with this sister, that sister, and that brother. Then, because no one ever dealt with it and swept it under the rug, the next generation thought it was okay to do, so they came out doing it without any, with pride, without any shame. Because whatever we do in secret, the next generation is going to do in access. But we have to make sure the family structure is right before we exodus. Because once we get that structure right, then the Most High said, now they're ready. Because I'm not going to exit y'all if y'all not in unison, if y'all not together. Because if each man is working on their family, all us families can come together and create a tribe. Right. And then once that tribe come together, the two sticks, because remember, that's what it's all about. The two sticks coming together. The northern kingdom and southern kingdom. Bringing them back together and bringing them from the four corners of the earth back into the land. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So, we dealt with manufacture to get to this point. Preparing for the Exodus. Preparing for the Exodus. Now, what we're going to talk about today is going to be the voice of the silence. And I'm going to explain that as we get into the lesson. But you got to understand where Israel was prior to getting into Egypt. The Egyptians did not come in and take Israel.
Right. That's right.
Israel put themselves in that position. Right. How did they put themselves in that position? We talked about it a couple weeks ago. How did they put themselves in that position? They sold Joseph over. A lot of people don't look at it like that. The reason why they got themselves in that position is because they sold their brother over. Same situation we're facing today. Israel sold their brother over. Now we scattered all across the land. And the Most High told, well, he didn't say per se, but he had to deal with what happened before he can let them go. And you'll know, before he let them go, see, there was a process which we're going to talk about that the Most High had to do. Before he could free him, he had to redeem him. Before he could redeem him, he had to connect with him. Because you got to understand, Israel was in Egypt for how long? About 210 years. I know the movie, I know the white movie. Where Moses white, Pharaoh white. There weren't no black people in the world at that time. Y'all know the little Easter movie they showed.
Right.
I mean, me just seeing that movie, I just thought the Bible was white. You see how it could desensitize you? But in that movie, they would just throw shots out. 400 years we've been here. They were not in Egypt for 400 years. They were not in Egypt for 400 years. Because if you even add the age of the time that Abraham or Moses' grandfather who came in with Jacob entered in to the death of Moses, it don't even add up to 400 years. So there's no way in the world they could have been in there for 400 years. And we know that about 70 of those years, of those 210 years, they was living good because Joseph was in charge.
Right. And the brothers were still alive.
Right. Brothers were still alive. Yeah. The patriarchs that came in there were still alive. Right. And they looked at Israel as citizens in Egypt because Joseph was there. Right. But we know as time went on, they began to serve Egypt gods. They began to act like the Egyptians. They wanted to be like the Egyptians. And because of that, the Bible talks about a Pharaoh that rose up that did not know the Most High or Joseph, and he began to afflict them, which we're going to talk about. But before the Most High could free him or redeem him, he had to connect with him. Because Israel lost connection with the Most High because they started to go after other gods. They started to try to be like the Egyptians. They tried to start to do things. And the Most High is trying to do the same thing today. Before he can free us, he got to redeem us. How's he redeeming us? Through Mashiach. Yeshua HaMashiach. If you don't accept that redemption, it's going to be hard for you to get in.
Right.
And while he's redeeming us, he's trying to connect with us. See, Mashiach is important. I don't care how much of Hebrew blood you got in. The Most High will open the earth just like he did before and let you fall in. I always say, you know, the Most High don't send people to hell. He just honors their choice. It's the choice you make. Because Moses said, yo, choose. We on this side. What side y'all on? You know, they got with Korah and them. Earth opened, fell in. And guess what? They had so much Hebrew blood in them, but it did not matter.
That's right.
They were doing the feast days. They were keeping the commandments in a way. They were doing all that, but they had no ruach. They had no spirit. They had no love. They had no sense, no common sense. They tried to do things their own way. And we can't do it our way. It's only Yah's way. There's no other way around it. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So let's get into it. The voice of the signs. Preparing for the Exodus. So let's build a foundation. Exodus chapter 4, verses 1 through 9. And Moses answered and said, but behold, they, say they. Now you have to understand when you see those type of words in the scripts, you got to ask, the next question should be, who is the they that he's talking about? Because you got to understand this. The 10 plagues were for who? Egypt.
Right.
The 10 plagues was not for Israel.
That's right.
The 10 plagues were only for Egypt. Well, the 9 plagues. Because that 10th plague was for everybody. Because if you ain't do, which we're going to talk about, what that last one, what the Most High said, I don't care if you was, once again, I don't care if you had Hebrew blood in you. If you didn't have the lamb's blood. If you didn't have Mashiach's blood covering you. Because that's what it was foretell of. Your firstborn died. And Moses answered and said, behold, they being Israel, say Israel, will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. This is Moses talking. For they will say, the Lord hath not appeared unto thee. That sounds like black folk, right? Come on, man. I ain't say nothing. Get out of here. Right? Just think about how you try to talk to your family members about who they are.
Right.
So you can see how Moses felt, right? Him coming into Egypt trying to convince them, man, y'all the people, y'all. Come on, sir. What? Well, why did Israel have that mentality? Because they lost connection with the Most High. Right. So at this moment, the Most High is trying to build a connection. Say a connection. A connection with us. The Lord had not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said, verse 2, unto him, what is it that I have in our head? And he said, a rod. Say a rod. And he said, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled before him. That's key. But one, they show him Moses had to be a black nigga. We don't play with snakes like that. Like, oh, that's a snake, you know, just, oh, what's going on? What you got right there, Moses? And the Lord said unto Moses, put forth thy hand and take it by the tail. Say the tail. That's the reason why he took it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and he caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. Now, that's important also, that it became a snake, and that when he picked it up, it turned back to a rod. You got to understand, the Most High was showing Moses these signs for a reason. This wasn't just some, yo, Moses, when you get there, pull this rabbit out your coat, and they'll know that you're sinning. No. The reason why he didn't do that, because that wouldn't have spoke to Israel. He did these specific signs for a reason. Say a reason. That they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the Lord God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, have appeared unto thee. And Yahuwah said furthermore unto him, put now thy hand in thy bosom. This is the second sign. Put now thy hand in thy bosom. And he put his hand in his bosom, and he took it out, and behold, his hand was leprous as snow. In other words, his hand became white. So that means he couldn't have been white. I mean, it had to turn white.
Right.
Because if he was already white, it wouldn't have shot Moses. Him like, oh, look, okay, what? But his hand turned white, and that shocked Moses. He said, and his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, put thy hand back into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and he plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again to his what? Other flesh. Or just like the rest of his flesh. So it turned back to his regular skin. Go ahead.
One thing in the movie Commandments, that was one thing they didn't.
They did not.
They didn't do it.
They didn't do it. They couldn't do it because he was already white.
Oh boy.
And then some, you know, because back in the day, you know, folks ain't really read the Bible. They just watch a movie, you know, and they think they know the Bible. So when they read this part, they think, oh my God, his hand turned white. And yeah, it turned white because he wasn't white. Shabbat shalom. And he said, put forth thy hand and put him again. He put it again and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again to his other flesh. Now watch what he said, verse 8. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken unto the what? Voice. To the voice. Say the voice. The voice. So that means this sign was going to speak to them. To the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the what? Voice. The voice of the latter sign. So these is the reason why the Most High said, hey, when you get there, make yourself disappear and they'll know I sent you. No, that one that spoke to Israel. But these signs specifically spoke to Israel. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take the water of the river, pour it upon dry land, and the water which thou takest of the river shall become blood. Say blood. Blood. Blood upon the dry land. Have a seat, King. Blood upon the dry land. These signs were not to Egypt. These signs were to the they who Moses was talking about. And who was the they? Israel. Israel only. That's all these signs were for. Israel. Let's dig. The three signs. Rod turned into serpent. We're going to talk about each sign. Hand turned leprous. Water from the Nile turned into blood. These signs will have a what? A voice. They will speak to them. They will minister to Israel. Because the Most High at this moment is trying to build a what? Relationship and connection with Israel. See, the Most High couldn't just show up and say, hey, y'all listen, man, we about to get up out of here. Let's go. Yeah, right. Because a lot of them had envy against the Most High. Right. They were stiff-necked. They were upset because they felt like the Most High abandoned them. 110 years we've been here. Y'all, you ain't hurt us. You ain't did nothing. Why is it that you coming out, man? No. But these signs were going to minister to Israel. So that when they see these signs, they will know the Most High did send you. So they'll have a voice. Once these signs were shown, they would believe. They would believe. The signs did not, say did not. Did not. They did not free him. Just because he showed them signs, didn't free him. Because there's a lot of Israel that seen those signs that still didn't leave when they exited. Right. A lot of those Israelites that seen that sign, those signs, firstborn died because they didn't put the blood on their doorposts. But it connected with them to the Most High. He had to reconnect. Say reconnect. Reconnect. With them because they thought he forgot about them and what happened to them. So not only did they feel that, Shabbat Shalom, how you doing? Not only did they feel that the Most High forgot about them, or that the Most High didn't care about them, but they also thought that the Most High did not know or remember what happened to them. Hallelujah? Hallelujah. They felt they did not know how or what. How could the Most High understand? How could the Most High get this? How could the Most High come and want to rescue us now? Out of all this time, we've been being persecuted. We've been getting whipped and beat. We've been going through all this. Why is it that the Most High cares now? But he had to go to this point to reconnect. Say reconnect. Reconnect. Reconnect with Israel. Because Israel wouldn't listen. The three signs was in a way to say, I remember. Israel, I remember. I remember the covenant that I made with your forefathers. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. I remember the promise that I said I was going to take you into the land. I did not forget Israel. These signs spoke that to Israel. Because remember, the Most High is not slack on his promises. He will do what he said he's going to do. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He does not change. So he made this promise. But Israel was upset with the Most High because they felt like the Most High abandoned them. Not understanding you put yourself in this position, Israel. I didn't. You did. Same thing today. The Most High is trying to reconnect with us. Why? So that he can properly redeem us. Now you got to understand with redemption, also, the Most High is also dealing with your enemies. It's not just a part of just redeeming. Just like in Egypt. While the Most High was redeeming and connecting with Israel, he was also dealing with Israel's enemies, which was Egypt. But Israel had to get their part fixed before that Exodus could come. Hallelujah. So, let's talk about it. First sign. Water became blood. Exodus chapter 4 verse 9. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take the water of the river and pour it upon the dry land, and the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. What was one of the worst things that happened to Israel? One of the worst things, if you could think about just reading the story. One of the worst things that happened to Israel during their time of affliction in Egypt. Killing their babies. Killing their babies. Same thing Israel is facing today. You know, they say abortion kills more people than car accidents, black on black crime, and cancer put together. They had a billboard which Jesse Jackson made them take down in New York City. They had a billboard put up in New York City that said the most dangerous place for a black baby to be is in the womb of their mother.
Is it what?
Is in the womb of their mother. Said the most dangerous place for a black baby to be is in the womb of their mother. And that was back in about 2014. Because abortion was the #1 killer at that time. I haven't looked at it recently. At that time, amongst black people than any other type of crime. #1 killer of black people. Jesse Jackson wanted that to take it down. Now some people look at that and say, oh, that's offensive. But it's true. Why do you think they put Planned Parenthood inside the inner cities?
Right.
They don't got it in the nice areas. Margaret Sanger, the creator of Planned Parenthood, said that we don't want it to get out, but we want to exterminate the black population. That's all part of that population control.
And in the same project, they made housing projects.
Yes.
Because black people wanted to move into the neighborhoods that weren't all blacks. So to keep you out of the neighborhoods, they came up with the plan called projects.
Right, projects. Right? Or ghettos. You know what ghetto, if you look up the term ghetto, it really is a place where Jews reside. They know what they're doing. They word playing. But Planned Parenthood was put to destroy our community.
Right.
So the same type of thing that was going on back in Israel and Egypt is the same type of thing that's happening right now. So what was the worst thing that happened with Israel in slavery? The slaughter of the children. Exodus chapter 1 verse 22. And Pharaoh charged all his people saying, every son that is born you shall cast it into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive. Now when people see this, they think son, it was a little baby. No, they were throwing 11 and 12-year-olds in that river. Any boy, any son they seen, Pharaoh gave the Egyptians, not the authorities only, the Egyptian community. So if a regular Egyptian's walking by, they seen the son, they can just throw the son off the cliff right into the river. Of course the Israelite would try to fight for a son, but nobody would try to help the Israelite woman because that was a decree that Pharaoh put out. Destroy them, kill them, slaughter them. How does this sign connect with what was done to him? The same river that they was thrown into was the same river Moses drew the water from. You got to understand this about the Nile River. The Nile River was the economic source of Egypt. That's why when the famine hit, Israel left from where they were and went into Egypt. Because Egypt was known for surviving through famines. Because the Nile River never dried up. The Nile River was an economic system for the Egyptians. That's why they were so rich. Because all nations, it wasn't just Israel that just came in. When that famine hit, all other nations came into Egypt at that time also. Because they knew Egypt would have it. They knew the Nile River wanted to dry it. So the Nile River was the economic system for Egypt. But now the Egyptians are using the same river to cover up their sins. All of the blood that was shed in that river. We seen people draw water from the river. We seen people bathe in that river. Seeing people having fun and swimming in that river while all that blood is at the bottom. When Israel looked at that river, their heart broke. When the Egyptians looked at it, they rejoiced. Because that river was used not only for their economic system, but to cover up their sin. So when the Israelites went to an Egyptian authority and said, they killed my son. They just threw my son in the river. They would go look at the river would be calm and beautiful. They'd say, prove it. But they couldn't prove it. So that river was used to cover the sins of Egypt. So when Moses went and got the water from the river, remember he said, Most High, they ain't going to believe you sinned. He said, let this sign speak to him then. Go get some water from the river. Pour it on the dry land. And when you pour it, it's going to turn to blood. So when that sign happened, it was the Most High saying, I remember all the blood that was shed in that river. I remember it. I did not forget, Israel. I remember everything that they did to you. I remember all the blood that was shed. I remember every little thing that they did. I remember. I'm coming here now to redeem. But before I can do that, I want to let you know that I love you. And I remember. Say, I remember. I remember. Same thing the Most High is doing now. When Hurricane Harvey hit, me and my wife was down here when it hit. You know, we didn't touch us, thank the Most High. But if you go back and you look into that, you'll see all the paths of that hurricane came from the paths of the transatlantic slave trade. Every hurricane that hit that year. Every hurricane that, mostly 90% of the hurricanes that come through, comes through the transatlantic slave trade.
That's right.
Why? We have to pay attention to the signs, Israel. Because the Most High is showing us, I remember. I remember all the people they threw off them ships. Because there's blood at the bottom of them oceans. So much people were thrown off the ships. They said that the sharks used to change their course and follow the ships because they knew food would be thrown off. So when those hurricanes happened, it was a sign of a voice speaking to you, Israel. Of the Most High saying, I remember. I did not forget. I can't redeem you. I can't allow you to leave until I build this connection back with you. But I'm trying, Israel. You got to hear the voice of the signs. Because there's a voice in every sign that the Most High is doing. All these tornadoes that's hitting. All the water that's turning to blood across the... These are signs that the Most High is letting you know, I remember. The crack epidemic tore us up in the 90s. Not only destroyed our families because they were on it, but locked our men, our fathers, our uncles up for life.
Right. Right.
Now we see the opiate epidemic slaughtering other communities. It's not touching us really.
Right.
It's the Most High saying, I remember what they did. It's payback time. But it's not only payback for them. Israel, you also got to redeem what you did.
That's right.
I did not put you in a situation. You put yourselves in this situation. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Let's keep building. They use it now to cover up their sin. But now, the Most High is exposing them. Now, the next time we have Shabbat Shalom. Next time we have the rod turned into a snake. You gotta understand, that's the reason why when Moses came, he gave these signs to Israel. Like I said, Moses could have easily said, hey, Moses, send me, look what I can do. Boom, make my hand disappear. I want to smoke to Israel. Okay, so, because who else is doing that? John Marie's and Pharaoh's people.
Right.
Remember, they tried to do exactly what Moses did, and Moses' snake gobbled up their snake. Right?
Right.
So that wouldn't impress Israel. But these signs specifically spoke to Israel. Sit down. These signs specifically spoke to Israel and ministered to them. Rod turned into a snake. Exodus chapter 4, verses 3 through 5. And he said, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground. And it became a serpent. Say a serpent.
Serpent.
Now when he say cast it on the ground, he's speaking specifically of the rod or the staff. And Moses fled from the ford, and Yahweh said unto Moses, put forth thy hand and take it by the tail. Say the tail. And he put forth his hand and he caught it, and it became a rod. Say a rod. Or a staff again in his hand, that they may believe that Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, Elohim of Isaac, Elohim of Jacob, had appeared unto thee. Sit up, King. What does this verse remind you of in reference to Israel during the time in Egypt? Go ahead, King.
It reminded me of they told me were
Speak up.
the lowest animals.
Okay, you getting ahead. He getting ahead. He getting ahead. Don't worry. I teach him this stuff. He getting ahead. He just want So what does this verse remind you in reference to Israel in the time of Egypt? Let's find out. You're right, King, but you're too far ahead. Precept, Exodus chapter 1, verses 7 through 14. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly. Say increase abundantly. That's an important word right there. Increase. We're going to talk about it. And multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose a new king. Say a new king. A new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, check the lie you about to spew out. Behold, mind you, Israel around here chilling, ain't minding their business. They going about their business. They ain't doing nothing to nobody. Here's this king. Here's this president. Here's this official. Makes up a lot. Behold, the people of children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when they are fallen out in any war, they join also our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters. Say taskmasters. We ain't really going to talk about this, but our modern day taskmasters, we know who they are. The Jesse Jacksons, the Al Sharptons, right? The people that they pay to keep us quiet, right? That if we get too far ahead or we start to go, hey, get over there and tell them to calm down, right? And y'all got to calm down, relax. It ain't that serious. The taskmasters. Those taskmasters were not Egyptians. They were Hebrew men. You know, Hebrew men were selling out back then too. Okay. Taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. But the more they afflicted them, the more they what? Multiplied and grew. Man, ain't it amazing that they could not destroy us? We went through the worst type of affliction any mankind has ever seen in this world, but they could not destroy us. The Indians didn't go through what we went through, but they was almost destroyed. The Koreans, when they dropped the bomb on them, did not even go through what we went through, but most of them were destroyed.
Right.
But we got to understand, when the Most High scattered us, he didn't scatter us to destroy us, he scattered us to preserve us.
That's good.
Why? Because he knew when this time come, I'm going to gather them. And no longer would they say the Most High that brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, but the Most High that gathered the children of Israel from the four corners and brought them back into the land. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. Same thing now. We got to work twice as hard as anybody else. That's just the reality. I tell my sons that to this day. I don't think nothing gonna be given to you easy. You better work twice as hard. I don't care if you're Hispanic or a white friend is saying, hey man, you get to the job a few minutes late. No, you get there 15 minutes early. Because you can't do what they do.
Right.
You already have the X against you because of who you are.
Right.
And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage and mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. They had to work twice as hard. And all their service when they made them serve was with rigor. So, the next thing we're going to look at is increase. I want you to pay attention to that word. That word is very important. Not yet, King. That word is very important. Alright? We got to find out what that word is in the Hebrew. Now mind you, when I about I don't know how long ago Shabbat it was, but I showed y'all about the blue Bible. What is it? Blue Letter Bible.
Blue Letter Bible.
If you don't got that app, download it.
Very good.
Very good app.
Yes.
I mean, you got a walk-in library on your phone. You get the Greek word, Hebrew word, and it's very simple to understand. Don't look at all this and be like, oh my God, it's so simple. It's simple, y'all. Don't, sometimes, pastors used to talk all deep and theological so they can make you, confuse you, so they can deceive you. It's simple. Say it's simple. All right. So, we are looking at the Hebrew word of increase. Say increase. Increased abundance. The Hebrew word for that is sharats. You got to kind of roll your tongue. I don't know how to do that. But it's like sharats, right? Now, when you go here, you go to the translator, how many times you translate, right? We're going to go down here, we're going to jump down to the usage or the definition, right? It means to team, to swarm, or to multiply. To swarm, say to swarm. To turn, I think that's a team. To team or to swarm, say swarm. To swarm. It's a primary root, to swarm abounds, to breed, increase abundantly, to creep or move. That word is associated with what's called creepy, crawly things. Okay? I know y'all probably can't see. I know the words, but I'm having for y'all and everything, alright? So, it's associated with creepy, crawly things, right? So, what happens is, let me not get ahead. So y'all seeing that, right? So, why turn into snake? There was a lie that was made up about Israel in verse 10. Verse 10 says, come on, let us deal wisely with this, lest they multiply. And it comes to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Because the lie of the Egyptians, because of the lie, the Egyptians begin to afflict. Say afflict. They begin to afflict Israel. They begin to treat them wrong. They begin to do them wrong. Verse 11. And they begin to dehumanize them. Say dehumanize them. Dehumanize. How do they dehumanize them? How do they dehumanize them? Pharaoh told them they're going to increase abundantly. What does that word mean in Hebrew? To call them snakes. To call them animals. To call them thugs. To say they're what Hillary Clinton said. What she called us? A super predators. Right? But folks will vote for Hillary Clinton in a minute, boy. Oh my God. All because of her husband. All because she eat hot sauce. Right? Oh, we gotta stop being so deceived and simple-minded. Just because a Democrat. Now, a lot of folks don't like Republicans, but understand that I'm not either or. Democrat, because you know it's the right wing and left wing, still the same bird, flying in the same direction, for the same purpose. They just want to give you the illusion that you have a power to choose, when you really don't. They already chose who they want. Well, because the Democrat steps in line and they know how to Harlem Shake, or they got, they know how they eat fried chicken.
Yeah, it's gimmicks.
They got watermelon in it. You know how stupid that. Come on. Oh yeah, man, she for us.
Yeah.
There's a meme, and me and the House was talking about it the other week. There's a picture of an axe. The bottom is wooden, and the top, of course, is metal. Right? And there was a picture of a forest, and the picture said the forest began to decrease in numbers because they thought that the axe was formed because it had part of them on it. I'm not saying it right, but because it had a wooden part, they thought it was all for the trees. Not understanding the middle head was there to chop it. Come on, man. I told y'all we are the office of line to every movement. We block everybody else when everybody else score a touchdown.
That's right.
Nobody interviews us. Nobody asks us how good we doing.
No. Always.
What? We march and we.
Lead.
As long as they put a black face on it, it's gonna hit.
Yeah.
Or what they did with Bill Clinton, saying that he was the first black president.
Right.
Yeah.
Why? Because he got in sin.
Yeah, because he got his sense.
Because of sin, we gonna say you're the first black president? You know how stupid we sound? And because he know how to play a saxophone.
Yeah.
Wake up, Israel. Wake up. Because of the lie, the Egyptians begin to afflict them and dehumanize them. So that word to increase abundantly means creepy crawly things. And we know the lowest of the lower creepy crawly things is what? Snakes. The Bible, the Most High cursed the serpent down to his belly and says you're going to eat the dust of the earth all the days of your life. Why did they dehumanize us? To justify, say justify. To justify killing the children so they would have no conscience about it. So as long as they call you thugs, as long as they call you animals, as long as they call you super predators, a police officer could gun you down without having no weapon on you and nobody gonna feel sorry for you because they already dehumanized you. They already look at you as thugs. They look at you as the low of the low. So killing you is not really a factor. See, if a person kills a deer, you would sit there and watch it. Nothing. Because you've been desensitized to understand you can hunt deers and kill deers. So as long as they show us of us looking like thugs and dehumanize us as animals, killing us doesn't make a factor. Israel, while in Egypt, you have to understand they looked at them as regular citizens until this new king rose up. And begin to make lies. Say lies. Man, they gonna get with us. Man, we gotta make sure we deal with them wisely. We gotta do this. And then the Egyptians begin to take on the thought process of the person that was in charge. Just like today. They're super predators. They're thugs. They're no good. I don't know if anybody's seen the documentary 13. Anybody ever seen that? If you haven't, go watch that. It's a very good documentary on Netflix. It's called The 13, about the 13th Amendment. Please go sit down and watch it. And they'll show you how, or if you haven't, I don't know if anybody read the book, The New Jim Crow Law. The New Jim Crow. Very good book, right? It basically explains how the Jim Crow system is not dead, they just reconstructed it. See, during the Jim Crow, you couldn't eat certain places, you couldn't have weapons, you couldn't vote, you couldn't do that. So instead of calling you a nigger, they call you a criminal. Criminal is just a more political correct word. And you'll notice when you watch that documentary, the word criminal just flashes on the screen here and there. Every time they say it, it's criminal, criminal, criminal. Because they're showing you how they desensitize you to think, when you think of criminal, you think of black man. You think black, you think negative. You think the wrong way.
What's eerie about it is what you just said about that Pharaoh rising up. Same thing we look at with Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, we waited all that time. We saw him in the news back then as a, you know, a powerful broker and all this, but now he's that Pharaoh that rose up and say, you know what, back in my day, if somebody came into, you know, this press conference, we would beat them up. Same stuff he's saying. Same stuff he's saying. They're taking a hold of it, and so now, man, that hatred for Israel is out. You know, and you got some regular citizens, man, just looking to do something to us, you know.
Right.
Watching the phases of propaganda is what's going on. You know, for the society, we prepare for the Egyptian to be prepared to destroy their enemy, they first have to be propaganda.
You gotta understand too. A lot of people don't like Trump, but they loved Obama. Obama was about as wicked as Trump. I remember, this is when I was in Christianity. I didn't vote for Obama. I'm not gonna vote for nobody just because you're black. What's your value? What's your goal? President Obama did more for almost the LGBT community than he did for us. Because you know what? Through every presidency, we had a president put a man on the moon. That's what they said. We had a president, which was President Obama, that put a man in a woman's bathroom. When we gonna get a president that's gonna put the black man back in the home? We can't do that because their agenda is twisted. And I believe the Most High allowed President Trump to get in office. Such a time as this. So you gotta understand, we are replaying the Exodus of Egypt all over again. Because Israel got comfortable in Egypt when Joseph was in charge. Oh, we made it. We here 70 years. We living good. High five. They was in Goshen. They was regular citizens. We got love here. Most I say, no, this is not your final destination. Y'all too comfortable. Then they start to adapt to Egyptian ways. So the Bible says there rose up a king that did not know Joseph or the God of Joseph. And they began to afflict them. Why? To get Israel uncomfortable about being in this place, to let them know this is not your final destination. This is not your home. When Obama was in office, black folk got comfortable. Oh, we made it. Oh, yeah. It was, oh, man. It's just so good. High five. Oh, man, we did it. We in office, baby. We here. I ain't got to do nothing. Israel got comfortable. Israel got comfortable. You had some people who even thought they ain't have to pay their bills no more. So Israel got so comfortable, the Most High said, I got to put someone in office to make them uncomfortable, because I got to let them know this is not their final destination. They're going to be going home, but I can't release them if they don't want to go. So what I'm going to do is put somebody in office, make them uncomfortable, whereas I ain't got to tell them to go, they're going to want to go. If you got to understand, there's going to be some in Israel that's going to stay with Egypt. And guess what? Okay, and let's say this, there's going to be some Gentiles that's going to join with us. There's going to be some Chinese, some white, they're going to join with us. They're going to connect with us. That's why we can't push the Gentile out and make this include, oh, this is only for us. No, that's what got us in the mess that we're in now. We got to be a light unto the Gentiles to bring them in, not to keep them out.
I was reading, I don't know exactly the scripture it is, but in the Bible he said all kings were instituted by me. And in one scripture he said that in this time in my wrath and my anger, I'm going to give you a king which y'all like me.
Hallelujah.
Like what she said, because we're not even citizens anymore. When Obama was even in office, so the little laws that we did have from civil rights, they took those to use those to get the gays their laws.
Right. Bingo.
So we sitting there just all happy. Oh, yeah. Let's go vote. Like you said, let's go beat the linebacker.
Right.
Running the offensive line. But they use the laws that we even had. Now we don't have any type of say so.
Right. Because listen, I said it before. You got Chinese fight for Chinese rights. Hispanics fight for Hispanics rights. White fight for white rights. We the only nation that fight for civil rights. Because you know what? See, you gotta understand, civil rights includes everybody. Anything uncivilly, you can come join part of all. Why? Because we are the linemen. We are the best linemen. Because we know how to get a call. We fight for everybody's cause except our own. It looks foolish for a black male or female to be out there marching for LGBT when they don't respect you as a human already. You look foolish. You're fighting for a right to express your sexuality, but not your human. What? It's enough they don't respect you as a human. You think they're going to respect your sexuality? Okay, all right. So, let's keep going. Now, we're still talking about the rod turning into snake. I don't want y'all to forget. I don't want to get off track. So, they begin to afflict them, right? I meant to say transform. They transformed Israel into snakes. Just like the rod and the staff. So this is how this sign was going to speak to Israel. The Most High told Moses, take your rod, cast it down, and it'll become a, what? Snake. What did Moses do next? The Bible says he what?
He ran.
He ran. He fled. Another, yo, snake, bro, snake. You know, snake. No, that's how I back up. Most I don't be doing that. You gotta tell me before you about to do something like that. I'll be out of here. Turn to a snake. Moses fled. Right? Same thing we do with our people. They have desensitized us to a point where we are afraid of our own kind.
That's right. That's right.
But the Most High was telling Moses, no, this is only an illusion. This is what they're saying, but this is not really what it is. Because then he tell Moses what? Take the serpent by the what? By the tail. Exodus 4:2-5. Let's read again real quick. And Yahweh said unto him, what is that in thy hand? And he said, a rod. And he said, cast it to the ground. And he cast it to the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And Yahweh said unto Moses, put forth thy hand, take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. Most I said, this is an illusion. You are not what they are calling you. You are not a thug. You are not a super predator. You are not an animal. You are kings and queens. You are a rod. Look at somebody say a rod. Rod. And he took it by the tail because at that time Israel was the tail and not the head. Remember, they began to serve other gods. And the Most High told them, if you break these laws, statutes, and commandments, you're going to be the tail and not the what? So it's a reason why Moses grabbed the serpent by the tail. He said, grab it by the tail, and it became a what? A rod. Rod in Hebrew means tribe. And we're going to prove it next. Rod in Hebrew means tribe. So he told Moses, they calling y'all snakes. They dehumanizing y'all. They calling y'all animals. He's like, but take hold of Israel, Moses. Don't run from them. Don't be scared of them. Take hold of them, and once you take hold of them, they are going to become a tribe, a nation, a people. What they are calling you is only an illusion, just like that snake was only an illusion. Because when you picked it up and grabbed it, it became what it really was. A tribe. Say a tribe. Tribe. The word tribe. This is the whole breakdown of the word tribe. It says a staff, a branch, or a tribe. Say tribe. Tribe. I'm sorry, this is the breakdown of the word rod or staff. It means a tribe, a staff, a shaft, or a rod. You can see the root word, the etymology. I showed you about that last time. Don't let that word scare you. It's just the root word, that's all. It means, it's kind of blurry here, it's from H1586. A branch extended figuratively to a what? A tribe, also a rod, rather chastening. So it's a reason why this sign was going to speak to Israel. So the Most High said, take them together, bring them together, even though they're being called snakes. Tell them they are not snakes. Tell them they are not thugs. Tell them they are not animals. Tell them that they are a tribe, a holy nation, set aside by me. Once they understand this, once they comprehend this, then I can gather them, take them up out this land, and bring them into the promised land. But you got to get this first, Israel. You got to understand who you are. You are not what they are calling you. You are something greater.
Yeah, just real quick, you had was showing the definition of tribe, and came to be a branch and vine. Messiah said himself, right? The vine.
I like that.
Yeah,
He's a branch.
Yeah, so,
That's good.
yeah. So
And
and
what-
when you said that right.
And from what the ox say, how every leader has a staff. Mashiach represents that staff. You got to have that in order to be led. Hallelujah. So, let's break down the staff turning back his rod. The snake turned into a staff. Moses runs. Yah tells Moses take the snake by the tail. Why? Because at that time Israel was the tail and not the what? The head. So once he took the tail, it became a what? A staff again, or a what? Tribe. Say tribe. Tribe again. The voice of this sign was telling them what? I remember. Just like the last sign. This one was telling, he told Israel, I remember. I remember they called you snakes. I remember they called you animals. I'm going to pay them back for what they did to you. But the Most High was telling them, I remember. I didn't forget. I didn't forget what they called you. I didn't forget how they treated you. I didn't forget what they did to you. See, they had to dehumanize Israel in order to throw their sons into the lake. Because they ain't just no other human just walk and just throw another human in the lake. It got to be something going on mentally. So if God dehumanize them and make them think as low as humans, then I don't care what I do to them. Because I throw a cat in the river. I throw a dog in the river before I throw a human in the river. Because a human is the same as me. But if I dehumanize them and think that they're lower than me, I have no problem killing their 5-year-old son, their 10-year-old son, their 12-year-old son. I have no problem doing that because I have dehumanized. Say dehumanized. Dehumanized it. But he said he remembers. Hand turn white. We're going to deal with this. This is important stuff. Exodus chapter 4, verses 6 through 7. As I said earlier, they ain't put this part in the movie. For a reason, they couldn't do it. Because Moses was already white in the movie, so it wouldn't look right. See, when we think leprosy, you got to understand leprosy is not just a flesh-eating disease where you're bleeding. It was your skin turning white. It was your skin turning white. A little lighter. Exodus 4, 6, and 7. The Lord said furthermore unto him, put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and he took it out, and behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, put thy hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and he plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again back to his original flesh. In order to understand this sign, we must look at how Israel viewed leprosy. Because see, our perception of leprosy in the Western Hemisphere is different. I mean, the Bible describes how they, how they viewed leprosy. Numbers chapter 12, verses 10 through 12. Everybody kind of know this story. This is when Miriam and Aaron came, and Miriam got struck with leprosy. Let's read these 2 verses. And the cloud departed off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous. Say leprous. White as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us. He's talking to Moses. Wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Let her not be as one, what? Dead. Of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's what? Womb. So Aaron associated leprosy with being a stillborn. He said, let me not be as one dead that's coming out of his mother's womb. A baby that come out of his mother's womb that's dead is called a what? A stillborn. A stillborn. That the Most High eventually ended up dealing with Aaron. And it was real smooth. Like he told, Moses, tell Aaron, let's go to the mountain, man, it's time. Like, what? Like, what? I don't know. They just was humble back. Moses, man, you had to drag me up there, bro. And nah. Because Moses, Aaron just went up there and he just folded his clothes and gave, like, nah, bro, like, talk to the Most High. You know? Like, intercede. Like, come on. What was the king that got 15 more years? Hezekiah. Like, man, someone give me 15 more years. Well, you know, Aaron just went up there and, you know, he just died. He said, okay, it's my time. Okay, well, we shall go. And they just went. Nah, bro, you got, we fighting. You got to get, nah, you know, I'd have been like, nah, I don't believe God told you that. Show me in the script. But we see the Most High dealing, you know, handling there and telling them, listen, man, nah, it's over. Because all that stuff you done did, I ain't forget. There's consequences to that, right? So, the hand turning leprous white. So Aaron associated leprosy with being a stillborn. How did the sign speak of the hand? How did the sign speak of the hand? I'm sorry, how did the sign speak to Israel? What was happening that would make this sign speak to them? Because remember, every sign was directed to something that happened to them in Egypt. You know, sometimes we read these signs, you just read over them, and then you're right to the 10 plagues. These signs were specifically to Israel. Exodus chapter 1, 15 through 19, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shapharah, and the name of the other was Porah. And he said, when ye do the office of the midwife to the Hebrew woman, see them upon, and you see them upon the stools. If it be a son, ye shall what? Kill him. But if it be a daughter, then let her live. Side note, that shows you the importance of us men. They was going to let the women live, but as men, they had to die off. See, the reason why they let the women live is because they knew if we can impregnate their woman, we can kill off their culture. But that man, he carries the seed. Right? And the woman carries a device that carries the seed to bring forth. Because they was waiting for the coming Messiah.
Right.
You got to understand, everything that Israel went through, Hasatan was directed, when he got that prophecy in the garden about the coming seed, he was like, oh, nah, we got to mess this thing up. So all the way from Abraham to the time of the Messiah.